Good evening and welcome to the October 7th school board meeting. If you could please rise for the pledge. Thank you. James, would you mind taking attendance?
Yeah, absolutely. President McDonough,
Here.
Vice President Aldred. Here. Secretary Summers here. Treasurer Whitney. Here. Sure? All right. Trustee Gibson, absent. Trustee Atchison.
Here.
Trustee Campbell-Jordan.
Here. Thank you. Any changes to the board agenda? I have none. Scheduled public comment. We don't have any this evening. And our consent agenda. If anybody would like to make that motion.
Yep.
James, thanks.
It moved to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support? Ann, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 5, our superintendent's report. Dr. Milligan.
All right, good evening, everyone. Oops, somehow went too far. As usual, I want to ground us in our strategic plan, empowering learners, building community, inspiring futures. As a reminder, our strategic plan is our roadmap and helps us meet the needs of every student and keep improving as a district. It shapes how we make decisions, how we support our staff, and how we create opportunities for all students to grow and succeed. Whether it's empowering learners to take ownership of their education, strengthening our sense of community, or opening doors to new future, our plan keeps us focused on what matters most, helping every student thrive. And now for some Oxford highlights. The highlights tonight are going to include an activity we did with our AD team on the goals and aligned actions within the strategic plan. A thank you to the PTO presidents, information about our homecoming parade, the game, and the dance, a millage information video, and some school highlights. So this is an activity we just did with our AD team. One of our strategies this year to familiarize everyone with the strategic plan is to have the AD team engage in an exploratory activity with the strategic plan, and then it's a kind of a make it, take it scenario where they can then bring it back to their staff. This one in particular had them reviewing all of the aligned actions, and they had them on separate cards, and they had to arrange them underneath the goals. So I'm proud to say they were able to do it within 2 minutes. So it was very impressive. I thought we actually gave them 10 minutes and they didn't need that even close. So it was very impressive. Uh-oh, there it is, okay. I had a chance to meet with our PTO presidents. They do so much work for our schools. They're really incredible. Their dedication and the number of hours behind the scenes that they spend are greatly appreciated. Their leadership and organization and bringing people together for a common purpose, creativity and problem solving and making every event or project a success. I know at Leonard, this they had a drive to earn money to have the principal do some wacky thing, and they met their goal, and the principal is going to be engaging in that activity to his chagrin. Commitment to students and staff, ensuring everyone feels supported and appreciated, and the ability to build community, creating connections that make the school feel like family. So thank you to all of our PTO presidents. We appreciate you. It was once again an incredible honor to travel in the parade with the Oxford Fire Department. I want to especially thank Randy and Kevin for organizing this and allowing me and my student ambassadors to ride in the fire trucks throughout the parade. So it was definitely an honor. This is my second year being able to do that, and I really appreciate that. And the parade was wonderful. It was a little toasty, but we didn't have anyone pass out this year, so that was great. I call that a success. And for those of you who had a chance to see the game, that was incredible. In the last 20 some odd seconds, a Hail Mary touchdown, just such an incredible event. West Bloomfield was 5-0, and now they're 5-1 because of us. And so that was an incredible night. The crowds were, the stadium was just filled to capacity, and just the energy and positivity. So it was, and the weather was beautiful. It was a wonderful night. So great homecoming football game. So congratulations to the coaching team, Coach Potts. You guys are doing a magnificent job with our students. Of course, then we had our dance, our homecoming dance, and the kids were able to have an amazing time at the high school. So thank you to, I know that I got a lot of feedback regarding our leadership teachers and our leadership students who actually are responsible for organizing the, not only the pep assembly, but also the dance, and they did a fantastic job. So congratulations to our leadership team who put that together. All right, this is a millage information video that we have on our website. It's to provide information on the difference between the two proposals and what their purpose is. And so it's about 2.5 minutes, and I'd like to share this with everyone. Now I'm told that it'll just play. Let's see.
Do you ever wonder how our schools get their funding? Let's break it down. First, the state decides how much money each district should receive per student. This is called the foundation allowance. The current foundation allowance is $10,050. For funding purposes, full-time students are counted as one, while part-time students count as a portion. Here's where it starts to get a bit tricky. The state sets the foundation allowance but doesn't pay the full amount. Instead, they pay a portion and expect the remainder to be collected from local businesses. The way this is collected is through an 18 mil operating millage. Here's the catch. If we don't collect the full 18 mils, the state doesn't make up the difference. That means less money than expected for our schools. Let's take a closer look at this 18 mils that the state expects us to collect from local businesses. Voters previously approved an 18 mil operating millage, but due to something called the Headley Amendment, this amount can be cut each year depending on inflation. The operating millage will restore funds lost due to the Headley rollback and bring our funding back up to the amount the state expects. This operating millage, also called a non-homestead millage, applies to businesses, rental properties, and vacation homes, but results in no tax increase for homeowners on your primary residence. Just a quick note to avoid confusion on Election Day. The ballot proposal is for 21 mils. That doesn't mean we'll ever collect 21. The most we can ever collect is 18. It just gives us cushion against future Headley rollbacks, so we don't need to come back to voters every couple of years. While the operating millage covers everyday essentials like teachers, programs, and classroom needs, a sinking fund is different. It's like a savings account for building upkeep, repairs, buses, and technology. Without it, the district has to shift resources to use classroom dollars to pay for costly repairs. So what's the difference between a sinking fund and a bond? Bonds come with bonded debt paid off over many years, while sinking funds are pay as you go and have no debt. Also, a bond is much larger and often used for big projects, like building a new school or major renovations. Our sinking fund proposal is not for new schools or large construction projects. It is designed to take care of our current facilities and make improvements where needed. For more information, visit our website at oxfordschools.org/millage. And please, remember to vote on November 4th.
And I want to thank Christy Smith for putting that together. I thought it was like she found it on the internet. I was like, wow, that's really great. And no, she actually created that. So thank you, our very talented Christy Smith. All right, the QR code on the right will get you to our millage website. That'll give plenty of information. They have FAQs. We have other documents that give additional information about both of the ballot proposals. All right, some highlights for our schools. Last week was Count Week. So Count Week attendance is very important. That's Stephanie at the high school. She helps us with attendance. So Count Week in Michigan is a specific week each school year when public schools report the number of students enrolled. This count is used to determine state funding for the district, since most funding is based on student enrollment. Why it's important, it directly impacts funding. The more students officially counted, the more state funding the district receives. Supports planning, accurate counts, helps schools plan for staffing, resources, and programs, and it ensures fairness and makes sure the district receives the funding it needs to provide quality education to all students. So I want to take the time to thank our administrative assistants and all staff involved in taking accurate attendance. It is no small task taking attendance for thousands of students. So thank you for your efforts. This is a activity that Bridges and OVA collaborated on. We had 25 students from Bridges and OVA. They participated in Manufacturing Day, an Oakland County, Oakland Schools initiative to expand awareness on careers and advancing manufacturing. Students visited Oerlikon Balzers Lake Orion facility. Ooh, that's an interesting name. Where they develop technologies that make products stronger, more efficient, and longer lasting with their specialized coatings. Students learned about career opportunities, visited the engineering lab, and toured the factory floor where parts are prepared and treated with a variety of high-tech coatings. The visit concluded with a pizza lunch, always a fan favorite, and the opportunity to hear from a variety of employees about their own career journeys. The field trip was a huge success, and several students expressed interest in working there after graduation. My favorite, and you probably can't see it, the young man on the right, bottom right-hand corner, he's like, whoa! He's like jaw-dropping, so I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but it looks amazing. Lakeville had their Wildcat Dash Day, and you can see they went all out in making that dash very challenging. Looks like they had to run the gauntlet on the right-hand side. That gauntlet looks like it's made of noodles, so that had to be fun, I'm sure. They also had pancakes with the principal, which is the September Student of the Month. In the middle is Gwynn's Gallery, which is Lakeville's artwork display. And then at the far right, kindergarten classes went to the Oxford Fire Department to get to know some of the fire people. OES and DA collaborated on a tailgate prior to one of our home football games, did a cookout, and looks like they had a lot of fun with that activity. And then they also had a PBIS celebration. This is where the kids got an opportunity to tie-dye their PBIS shirts. PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Support. It's a school-wide approach to help students learn and practice positive behaviors. Instead of focusing on punishment, PBIS focuses on teaching students what's expected and recognizing them when they make good choices. Schools using PBIS set clear expectations for behavior, teach social and emotional skills, and use praise or small rewards to encourage positive actions. This approach helps reduce behavior problems, makes school a safer and more welcoming place, and supports students' emotional well-being while improving learning for everyone. They also have the Student of the Month Pancake Breakfast, which is a great way to celebrate students who go above and beyond in showing this month's trait, which was caring. At OHS, yes, that is a real picture on the left-hand side. That was an actual sunset. You would think that that was AI generated, but that is a real picture. It's beautiful. So the Senior Girls Night, this is a special event that brings all our senior girls together to connect, have fun, and celebrate their final year of high school. By sharing activities and experiences, it helps build friendships, foster a sense of community, and create lasting memories. In the middle, we have two of our National Merit Commendations, Neil Hasselton and Avery Gardner. Being named a National Merit Commended Student is a significant academic honor that recognizes exceptional performance on the PSAT, placing students among the top scorers in the nation. This distinction highlights Neil and Avery's hard work, intellectual curiosity, and commitment to excellence. Their achievement brings pride to our school community and serves as an inspiration to other students to aim high and pursue their academic goals. And finally, on the right is recognition for October's Kindness Month at the high school, and those are the kindness winners. Some sports highlights. Girls golf won the OAA championship, so congratulations to the coach and the girls. Well done. And Oxford, we won the Oxford Orion Trophy 2 years in a row, so that's pretty exciting as well. That, of course, is not the coach. That is our high school principal, Brad. All right, and finally for our school highlights, Leonard Elementary wanted to lift up their fun run that they did last Thursday. They raised close to $8,000 with this fun run, so that's amazing. And they also had Fire Prevention Safety Day last Tuesday. All right, to continue my updates, we have two presentations. We have Dr. Williman, and then a millage update with Dr. Van Staveren and John Fitzgerald.
All right, good evening. We are continuing with the same one-pager we have been. Again, you can access this on the school's webpage. You go to the School Safety and Security Department. It's in the box area where the community conversation video is, and it's hyperlinked there. Continuing on with our measures. We're switching now from our physical safety measures into our virtual social emotional safety measures. And this is those psychological safety items. So the three things I will be highlighting today are Go Guardian, Beacon, and Teacher, Gaggle, and OK to Say. So we're going to start with Go Guardian Beacon because Go Guardian has a lot of things in it. There's the teacher component and the beacon. So for the beacon, this is an AI system that looks at different words and different phrases that may have, and then they send an alert to us. At this point in the school year, I don't have enough quantifiable data to share with you, so I didn't want to bring like one thing to you. And so we're exploring how that fits in with our systems as we do in ongoing conversations with our administrators. The teacher piece is a little different. This is what allows us to be able to monitor and block sites and restrict access. And so in real time, they're able to monitor what is happening in class. And then in both of those things, as we've discussed, anything that is underlined, it'll link to the website for the product if you're interested in more information for that. The next one is Gaggle. A lot of you have heard Gaggle. We've added a component to Gaggle this year. So one of the items that we are using Gaggle for is it's an AI selected and then human verified, and they're looking for different phrases of words, and they break that into two different categories. The first one is a possible student situation, and the other is questionable content. So this is AI alerted and then human verified. So there's an extra layer with Gaggle. So for a possible student situation, they're looking for words or phrases that are around suicide, self-harm, violence towards others, sexual content, drugs and alcohol, and harassment. So it may ding, for lack of better terms, as that, but then the human verifies whether it's just questionable content. Someone looking up an inappropriate website would be questionable content. But something for example, if it's self-harm, the way that it gets to the possible student situation incident is a current self-harming act or an imminent threat. And then the other one is questionable content, where the words or phrases, pictures could be inappropriate, but something we want to check in on the student and address. And so there's a couple of ways that we address this throughout the day. During the day, there's a small team of us at the district level that receive that, but a lot of that work is done by the campus themselves. And so it is based on the campus, so whether it's the principal, dean of students, APs, FSLs, counselors, those are the typical types of teams that will make up those alerts. We all receive the same message. If it's a possible student situation, we have so long, I believe it's 5 minutes, to acknowledge it, or they start calling us. And so it is very much, hey, make sure you saw this gaggle. There are plenty of times that, hey, we saw this, we're on it, and that's typically what we'll get a reply to the email or to a text that says we're on it or we're addressing it. And then the campus takes it on from there. And then if they need any assistance, there's a group of us at the district level that receive those alerts as well. For questionable content, it's the same type of thing, but the level of support is a little different because of what the questionable content is. If a student is on an inappropriate website that is not appropriate for students to be looking at, let's check in with them and make sure they're aware of what is or isn't appropriate. We have seen our students use this for various ways. There are students who have said, I know this is going to alert, but I want to talk to this person. And that'll typically be like 7 o'clock at night where or they send an email to their counselor requesting some help or a check-in, and the system will still flag it. And then it's just a quick call to be able to say, yes, that we are getting in touch with them. It was really interesting last year. We had a possible student situation come up where it was actually a student emailing a counselor in a different district concerned for their friend. And it was great because then I could call over to that district and say, hey, I don't know if this kid sent it to the right person. Can I help you get this information? And so our kids, we're seeing a lot of things like that happening. We're also seeing things like they'll put it in the search bar. I'm searching this for this class as they're searching something. So they're aware that this is happening. We've added another layer. We had our Gaggle After Hours team, and that's just a lot to ask for our staff who have then worked a full day, and then we're expecting them to be on call as well. And a lot of those situations, and as we get into the data, it's not an astronomical amount, but still they have that work-life balance and they have the right to that. And so we've kind of made some changes this year for our after hours. And I know Todd spoke on this in June. We've adjusted it a little bit more since then. Any questionable content that comes after the school day is over, because those are typically things we just need to check in on. It doesn't reach the level of having to do any welfare check or engage with the principal and the parents. That is summarized in an email the next day. It's called a digest, that anyone on that team receives that. And then I receive it in real time. So if it is something that I go, we probably should look at this, I'm going to make a phone call to Marie and say, hey, Marie, I'm going to forward this to you. What can we do? And it's not just, I just picked you because you're right there. Possible student situations, we've adjusted that a little. I receive those, and then from 4 to 10, the principals receive those as well. Because I am more than happy to engage with the parents, but most of our principals, if not all of them, have a relationship with these families already. And it'd be a little scary if I'm calling as opposed to Dan making that phone call. And so we're together on that. And then from 10 p.m. until 7 p.m. the next morning, I receive them along with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. With the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, for the possible student situation, they are the primary, but they're also sending a notification to me as well. Because anything that's going to come in the middle of the night, I would be more than likely calling for a welfare check anyways. So it's a way to be able to have that partnership with our first responders, but also respect all of our time, while also being able to engage with families. And so to get into some of the data involved with Gaggle that has come up, from all of last year, from July of 2024, since school district years are from July 1 to June 30th, to June of 2025, we had a total of 65 possible student situations and 331 questionable content. So for some context, because 396 total things could sound like a lot, but the total items, they call it items ingested on the Gaggle program, were 6,988,351. So if you take those 396 instances, it was 0.0057% of the materials that our students were inputting on our district devices and under a Google platform. So that 396 does sound like a lot, but when it's almost 7 million pieces, it's not so much for our staff, but that still is a lot to just make sure we're checking in. But what a great touch point we have with our kids to connect. And 65 of those were possible student situations, some of those even being classroom assignments in their health class. And it sounds pretty serious when they're writing their paper, or especially college essay season. We see a lot of that pop up. And the questionable content was majority of it with 331. So far this year, we've had 7 possible student situations and then 44 instances of questionable content. And at this point last year, just from July of 2024 to September of 2024, we had 8 possible student situations and 50 questionable content. So it's pretty even out. And I have not, because they give me that total ingested at the year, that was last year's, seeing that we're on that same type of trend. So even from that almost 7 million pieces of items, only 6% was flagged. So 426,000 of those were even flagged to then look and have AI flagged it. What did the human verification say? So then we also have included a program called Gaggle Reach Out this year. And this is a 24/7 crisis hotline that they can either chat, call, with a licensed mental health professional, because we want to make sure our kids have access at all times to be able to get help that they need. And so since we started using that just this August, we've put a icon in their class link. We also have specific to our district QR codes, so we are able to get data on this. In August, we had 12 people access the help sessions, and I say people and not just students because staff can access this as well. So they left it as just the 12 help sessions. And what the topics were that they were looking out for was they were checking out the service and wanting to chat in all 12 of them. For September, we had 14 help sessions initiated. So that's where they're actually engaging with someone. And the topics that were discussed were things like body image and self-esteem, issues with their parents, just general overall, again, checking out the system, a student seeking technical help, sadness, or stress. And so we're seeing kids, like, what a great avenue for them to reach out. Doesn't mean that don't reach out to your counselor too, but here's something right on your class link that if it's just a body image, not just a, but like if it's something like that and they can chat with someone right there in real time and then maybe follow up with their counselor, what a great opportunity they have to receive additional help. For anything that would be a serious situation, such as a threat of harm to self or others, any sort of criminal sexual conduct or anything like that, I receive an additional report in real time of that. And so that we're able to address that. And I would receive that whether it was a staff member who inputted that information or a student. And then that way we're able to work with Ryan Reed and the HR department if we had a staff member reach that level or feel they were in crisis, just as much as we'd be able to support a student. And so I just think it's a great opportunity to give one more resource to our staff and students to be able to get real-time help with licensed professionals. And the last thing that is on our sheet for today is OK to Say. OK to Say is a confidential reporting system that's ran by the Michigan State Police. The Michigan State Police then determines, and we've had a flow chart before, and it is on the Safety and Security website, where if it's school related, it is their determination to bring that information to me. It is myself. There is another person as the backup, and then Detective Scott Rafalski is also notified when things like that happen. That's our after-hours plan. Our daytime plan is it goes directly to the campuses, and we receive those reports and we're able to address them. Part of it, with it being a confidential reporting system, is we only receive the information that is inputted in and filtered through. The Michigan State Police will communicate with us, and if we have additional questions, if they're able to get additional information, they will try and contact that person, but we do not receive the exact information of who that person is unless they're willing to share that. And they've been very good to work with, but they are the ones that are initiating who gets what information and how it's sent. So it is something that we do outcome reports. We work with them. If there's one that comes in during the day, they're sharing it with me. So we have that ongoing conversation. If it's something that happens at night, again, it's kind of that balance of wanting to respect people's ability to get some sleep. So if it's between about 4 and 10 p.m., I will directly call the administrator and say, are you aware of this situation? Is it something we can wait until the morning for? Is it something we need to do a welfare check? Where if it is one of those 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls, I will initiate a welfare check more often than not, depending on what the situation is. And so that is yet another way that people are able to submit reports. And so those are our 3 items for today. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Thank you very much. That was very thorough, and I appreciate the data to really help understand. So excellent presentation, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Allison. Gary and John?
Good evening. My part tonight is just I wanted to bring to the board's attention, we've got a couple of new items on our website related to the sinking fund section of our website. They're both related to the spending plan for the next 10 years. There's a summary version and then a more detailed by building by year spending plan. The guiding principles in terms of the project selections are driven by health and safety related to the facilities. And really, if you think of the facility and things that impact the interior, that was really the focal point. So roof, HVAC units, chillers, things of that nature. And it doesn't take long to use up the 1.6 million projected funding for the sinking fund. So that's now on the website for anyone who wants to view either a summary level or a specific level. And any questions you have on that as well, I would more than happy to field now or when you get a chance to take a look at it later. And that's pretty much what I've got, unless you've got some questions.
Yeah, there were actually 2 documents. I think there's the spreadsheet and then the overview. If you
So
scroll
this-
down on the Millage webpage, both of them you can see the images.
So I got that.
Keep
Sure.
scrolling down. Yep, right there.
So
that's-
this is the actual overview of the plan. It's kind of very high level summary in terms of the different years and the different facility pieces with, you know, the icons then they're representing the different pictures and the type of work that will occur. The actual detail behind that is can you take a picture of that one? This schedule, this schedule here is 12 pages long, and it starts with its first page is summary level as well, subcategorized by, on the left here, by security, technology, extended useful life. Extended useful life would be like roof work. So when the work is done, it's going to add additional years to the life of the existing roof, kind of by way of example. So this one's got 12 pages. The first page here is really summary level. This is by category summary level. I think you slipped on to page 2 there. Then page 2 is by building summary level. And also there's a column out here titled district. So in some instances you'll see there's a funding assigned at the district level to technology. So that will be driven by the immediate needs, whether it's a range of devices that are due to be refreshed or from infrastructure work or fiber, things of that nature. And by nature of the schedule itself, this is the current schedule, tentative planning from this point of view. We do reserve the right that if something occurs in year 2 that was planned to be dealt with in year 4, we reserve the right to change this as needed. But this is if things fell out in an ideal way, this is how we'd be looking at it based on the expected funding for the sinking fund plan. So pages 3 through 12 are each year's version of what is going to be set aside or targeted for work by building or by district level. For example, transportation too is another good example of district level. There's funding there targeting buses. So it's really not assigned to a building, it's really assigned to the function of transportation. So as you get a chance, take a look at it. More than happy to field questions.
Questions? Is this, I know you had spoken before about essentially a tracking system on the website as we move through if the sinking fund passes. Is this document going to basically be the template for that moving forward, or will it be like the overview as projects
This
are
would
completed?
feed a version it's a lot like the overview, but from the perspective of when the project's done and or the amount of money assigned to a building has been used. So we'll be using 2 versions as we get things going, and the tracking, that's the back end, so to speak, of the tracking.
Okay.
We'll also be putting out just the practical aspect of the annual capital projects planning for the district, which will be sinking fund planning combined with in-district planning. There's spending that we know we're going to still continue to do out of the general fund, because to be honest with you, the 1.6 million that the sinking fund would generate was used up pretty quick on an annual basis relative to what really needs to be done in the district. So there will still be things addressed using sinking or general fund funds, but it relieves a very large burden on the general fund to focus back into the classroom work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm good, thank you. All right, again, good to see you again. I am continuing to share more information on our millages and how we have communicated that out to our community. Again, Dr. Milligan already did this, but I also want to give kudos to Christy Smith and Lindsay Vantine in our communications department, because they have done so much in the last few weeks. And so what you're seeing up here is from our communications department. So this is one example. If we also go back to the website, also want to go back up to the top, and you're going to see how this has changed a little bit, where now there are buttons, which are really like bookmarks right here. So ballot, if you just want to go hone in on that, you can click on it. It'll take you right to the ballot information. Resources, frequently asked questions. We continue to update that and answer questions and then put those on the website as well. Registering to vote, and then here's where you can submit more questions. Again, we'll put those answers on the website, and that also helps us inform you more on the website as well. And as we scroll down, you're going to see more information. Again, what's on the ballot? The 10-year plan is right here, which we already opened up. And then here is the video, which Dr. Milligan showed. There's the calculator. And there's more updates right here as well. So specifically, taking a look at non-homestead operating millage PDF, sinking fund millage PDF. Here's that 10-year summary. And then there's also the 1-year summary, which I shared a couple weeks ago. That preliminary 1-year summary as well in year number 1. What we plan to do specifically at each building. And then as you continue down, there are more updates in the frequently asked questions, okay? So again, want to give kudos to our communications department. We've also been continuing to inform the public through different speaking engagements at different HOAs with the Chamber of Commerce, with the township, with the village. We've continued to put more out on social media, at sporting events like last week's football game. And then also an informational email has also gone out to all of our families. And that informational email was very specific. So, for example, if I have children at DA, then there was a flyer with that email that was specific to the improvements in the physical plant at DA that we plan to do with the sinking fund. Same thing at OE, same thing at the high school, and so on. So very specific emails and intentionality behind that. Also, an informational postcard also went out. Hopefully you all got that, okay? So again, a lot of information on this explaining about the two different proposals, also about absentee voting, early in-person voting, and then obviously when election day is, and the QR code to get to the website. What we've also done is put signage out. So I brought some props tonight. So here's an example of some signage that we've put out. So the south entrance at the Legacy Center, there's signage there now. At 10 North Washington, which is our old board office, there's signage there as well. And then what we've also done is put signage out in front of each of our schools as well. Okay, so again, continuing to inform our public on the proposals. Any questions?
How much is this costing the district to do all this campaigning?
John, do you want to try to answer that one? Because John can probably speak to that probably better than I can.
So in terms of planning for it, we haven't spent that much, but we're estimating about $10,000 to $15,000 in terms of providing information to the community. That's outside of the actual cost of the election piece. That would range depending upon what each township charges us, and that will range in probably in excess of $100,000. Good.
Any other questions?
Good. Thank you both very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Moving into item 6, our committee updates. Finance, Mike, would you like to let us know how that went?
Sure. Well, starting off, we talked about the resolutions for this meeting that we will be discussing a little bit later as far as the outstanding debt refinance. We were talking about a line of credit up until the budget passed. So that was a benefit of not having to have that discussion in this meeting. And then the summer tax, which will be covered in the finance operations later. Oakland Schools business residency. So Oakland Schools has a program where they're training up candidates for school, specifically school finance. That's not something that's typically done in like a business administration job, right? And so we have one a resident from that coming on for 8 months. They're three, each student goes through 3 rotations of 8 months at different districts. So they're kind of mixing that up. We've got one, he'll be with us through May. And so that'll help out our finance department. It's nothing on to Oxford, right? It's just that cross training. So it'll be good because he's been at 2 other districts as well. So we're going to get some of that kind of, what are they doing? But at the same time, he's a student, right? And so he'll be learning a lot from our the next 8 months here. Center application, so we submitted that center application to Oakland Schools. They have some time to review, 90 days total, but we should hear back before, like some things before that. Let's see. Yeah, so they'll be looking over the full plan, assessing how they want to do. We've got a few, I guess, options in there to collaborate with them on that item. Quarterly finance meeting, or update, sorry, will be, right now because of the state budget uncertainties, that's going to be low at first, but we'll, obviously, once we get through exactly what the state budget looks like and all of that, we'll get the updates, and then the amendments later on, right? Credit card transparency is up on the website, the one we discussed prior. Audit update, see. There was a 270K surplus went back into operating. There were some bank recs as far as the material, but those have all been, I guess, smoothed out since then. It was carryover from the previous audit that they were catching up in between. So now it's all correct. I mean, that's right, John. And control procedures are in place now as well. And the first amended, as far as the budget goes, should be in February. We talked about the millage and sinking fund, the graphics that John just went over, that kind of discussion that John and Gary just had. One last thing that came up was Oakland County, Oakland Schools is looking at doing an enhancement millage. They're considering doing an enhancement millage, and for 2026, maybe August of next year, 2026. And this would be a kind of pass through to the schools. Mainly sounds like a staffing. It would be, but that's one of the options there. What they are looking for is they need not necessarily full support, but approval from districts in the county to put it on the ballot. So they would be looking for our approval to put on the ballot. That's what they're looking for. And so that is, and I can't remember. Do we have a timeline on when we need to give them approval? John or Tanya?
Yeah, so the superintendents are getting together on the 17th. And this is just an informal conversation. And again, it's not looking to support it, it's looking to give our voters an opportunity to vote on it. So they're just looking at superintendents to say, yeah, we would support putting it on the ballot for our voters to decide, or no. And I don't know if you were going to say, so Oxford in this scenario makes out pretty well in a sense that the amount of tax that our taxpayers would pay is compared to how much money we would get 3 times the amount of money that our taxpayers actually paid. So it's a pretty great situation for Oxford specifically. There are other districts that are referred to as donor districts because it's just the opposite. So they're just looking for an informal conversation to say, hey, yes, our board would support putting it on the ballot in order for voters to decide.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it from finance.
Were there any updates on the old admin building? Do we have any offers or?
John wasn't at the finance committee meeting. We did ask that. There had been some walkthroughs, I know that.
Okay.
John, do you have any additional updates while we're at it, or?
No, there's been some walkthroughs, there's some interest in it. We've established an end date for the RFP, or this version of it, to, what we're gleaning from the responses is that the people that are potentially interested are waiting on interest rates. So one of the ways to get them to actually put something in writing as a proposal is to put an end date on it. So we'll be doing that at the, I want to say the 21st of October, last segment of October, and then try to generate some responses for what we know so far. If there's nothing occurring there, then we'll do the cycle over again.
Okay. Thank you. And for the enhancement millage, after the initial conversation, what does that timeline look like? How much are they looking to go for? Is that even decided at this point?
They gave us information in terms of the various possibilities of 0.5, 1.0, 1.5. I think right now, they're just trying to get a sense of if districts are even willing to put it on the ballot. And then I think that they'll put it out there they've done a research study on what people would support. And so I think they're just trying to feel it out and see what districts are thinking.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions or comments for finance? James?
So you talked about the center-based application, right? And you said there was a couple different options that they put together. Can you go into that a little bit more?
We just talked about some being the location on the property. There is, I guess the two options are more towards the center of the property and potentially having them help with some taking down of buildings as well. And then the B, I guess, is the location that we talked about over by the garden. And so it would be, what is Oakland Schools willing to help with, I guess, willing to provide as far as funding is concerned as well. And so that's what they're looking at over right now. And
Do you guys from the Finance Committee have a copy of that application that we submitted?
I do not.
I'd be interested in getting that just for informational sake. And then you said timeline December time is when they
It
should
sounds
be
like
back?
it, something like that. 90 days from, when was it submitted? John or, no, Courtney's not here. Tanya? 2 weeks ago it was submitted. So
Okay.
something like that.
So according to their standards, they have to have it approved one way or another if they agree to our terms by December, correct?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then where do we go from there?
I guess it depends on what they come back with, right? But
Okay.
then it would be potentially looking at breaking ground next year, accepting whatever they're willing to, or I think there's going to be some discussions between potentially, right?
We bring that back to the board, right? To speak about that in
Correct.
public? Are we going to take time to hear from the public? I'm asking all this stuff because there's a lot of interest with our families and neighboring districts that are starting to reach out and give their thoughts and feelings about center-based programs that they had in their area and stuff just recently. So I want to make sure that we're going into this eyes wide open.
Of course. Yes, I mean, yes, we would discuss that back with the board table regardless of
Okay.
what. And so we can, I guess if you specifically know of people that want to give their input, that would be a great time to do it somewhere in between then.
I think once we get the application back and see what the terms are of
Sure.
what they're agreeing to, I think that's probably the better time
Yep.
to publicly put that out there so people can look at it and so everybody, I mean, it's potentially a great opportunity, but there's also, I mean, it's a lot of responsibility as well. And me personally, and from who I've talked to and people's feedback that I got, I think it's in our best interest to definitely be fully transparent and hear from the public as well, so we as a board can make an informed decision before we agree to that, just like we do with like curriculum and stuff. So, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Anything to add, Han? I mean, I know Shane was there, but he's not here.
No, you covered it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And yeah, James, I absolutely agree. It sounds like something that would be wonderful to offer to our community, but we also need to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, we understand all of the issues, and that, you know, everyone has some input. So thanks for bringing that up. All right. Moving into policy. We had 3 at this meeting, and we're still, these are the remnants from the summer update, and we still have 3 to 4 that we're waiting on additional input from staff members. And so we'll have those after our next meeting. But these 3 we're good to go. And then after we had went through these, we had started going through the optionals. If you remember, there were 15 to 20 optional policies that we were just too inundated to go through last year, and they weren't necessary, so we just wanted to make sure we kept keeping our eyes on what Troon offers as optionals to see if we wanted to adopt them or not. So that actually led to a couple-hour discussion, and we have additional questions that we sent to staff members to gather their input before we, of course, recommended bringing some forward or not. So those will be coming as well after our next meeting. But to go to these three, we had 4221 employee speech, and that is directly updated from Troon. We did not change anything, and that has to do with new laws in place. 5104.01, so we did adjust this one just a bit. Everything is from Troon except for the last paragraph. We changed may to shall. And then 5401.01, that is also customized because of item number 6. We are included, the original from Troon, it was about a page long of what needs to be in. It was very redundant of the parent involvement plan. And so Anita worked closely with Troon to come up with this paragraph that would satisfy. And then it would also make sure that every time you go to register your student, when you go through the packet and all of the items that you need to check and look at, that is included. So that was done this year, and that will be done moving forward. Any questions on those three policies? Okay. You can email me if it comes to you. Okay.
Yeah, it's on my computer. I'll send it. When I read it, there was just some little thing, so I'll send you.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Item C, we have 3 field trips for first reading. These are field trips that occur regularly. We do not have presentations on, but you have it in your board packet. If you have any questions now, you can ask and we can get answers, or email, and we'll be approving these at our next meeting. Item D, our board discussion. Tanya and I have worked tirelessly to get a date that works for the facilitator and everyone, and we think that we have that set now. As you know, we had to postpone when we intended to meet in September, and we are looking at October 27th from 4 to 7 p.m. And I just want to make sure that, well, I already spoke with Shane. He is absolutely good, but I want to make sure while we're at the table, if anybody has any issues or concerns with that date, and also can fully commit, because we don't want our facilitator to lose hope in us.
It may be 10 to 15 minutes. I just have to, logistics of like picking up kids and stuff that day.
We can look at 4:15. I mean, I don't think anybody,
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
just,
opposed
I-
to
we-
going
One
15.
cross country, one football, and it's just trying to.
okay, so
Tis the season.
4:15 to 7:15. Would everyone be comfortable with that?
Yep.
Excellent. We will reach out and confirm. Thank you very much. And
Have you looked at any of his books? The architect types or anything?
not in his books
Oh.
specifically. I've looked at some readings around the idea of the archetypes.
I picked up his books, very good read. It might help
Excellent.
if anybody wants to borrow it. Instead of spending the money, I'll be happy to, if anybody wants to look at it and go through it and stuff. But it was
Yeah.
a quick, easy read and stuff, and it just kind of, I don't know, gave some good foundational stuff, some
Okay.
things to think about.
Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. I can shoot out the link
That'd
later.
be
if
awesome.
you want. Yeah.
Thank you. And then, of course, before then, we will actually take the quiz. Everyone will take that individually so that we have the results prior to that. Once we confirm, we'll have him send us a link. It'll go out to all of you. We'll give you a deadline. Please take this by, the week before so that he has a chance to familiarize himself with everybody's results and structure the meeting So those details will be coming soon. Thank you all very much. The second item I wanted to discuss is we've been talking about, and Shane and Mike Aldred had volunteered to head the discussion on MASB alternatives, if we wanted to continue the membership after this year, if we wanted to supplement the membership, what we really kind of want to do surrounding professional development, and additionally, the insurance piece. And as you remember, that was a discussion a couple months ago. And I wanted to make sure, because Tanya and I spoke about it and thought that it might be best that we don't make them a formal subcommittee, that they just get together, gather information, and bring that all to the board rather than have actual subcommittee meetings and that. But I want to get your thoughts before we either have to formalize them as a subcommittee or just let them bring information to the board.
I'm going to rephrase just so I understand. So you're just saying instead of formalized like a subcommittee like finance, or so it just they go off on their own, they do their research and just come back to report. I think that makes the most sense. In my opinion, that way you guys can work on your guys' availability, and I mean you're not voting or making any decisions. You're bringing all the stuff back.
Exactly.
Very similar when we first started like looking at who we thought for superintendent search committees. Of who we want to do. We found out the different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not also taking up staff time for subcommittee meetings and this and that. And again, no decision-making ability whatsoever, just to bring information to the board. And we can include that into, our new board discussion item as that evolves. And to kind of go off topic there a little bit, if you have any topics that you would like to be included in that in the future, always feel free to reach out to us, please. Any other questions or comments about that? Thoughts? Okay, well then let's go forward that way. Mike, appreciate it again, and look forward to hearing Shane's recap.
Absolutely. Thank you, James, for the comment on that as far as understanding. It's talking with Shane and trying to coordinate. Your points are exactly valid. We have a few to-dos that Shane and I are trying to navigate around our schedule, so thank you for the consideration on this, and then we will be communicating next week as to what we can pull together and bring back to the board for that discussion. Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 7, we have John Fitzgerald again.
Good evening again. In your board packet for first reading is a resolution requesting authority to refund a block of bonds, our 2016 bonds. The purpose and goal of that is to first and foremost reduce the total cost of that bond issuance to the district's taxpayers. The net present value estimation of savings by refunding them is an estimated at $200,000. So from a financial point of view, there's the incentive to move forward there. Additionally, for us, from a debt structure point of view for our district, and keeping in mind the balance of our other bonded debt, when we do the refunding process there, assuming the board moves forward and on the 21st, we will restructure that debt so that we'll be in a position to pay down our school loan revolving fund debt by July of 2027. And additionally, by July of 2027, we'll be reducing our district debt millage from 7.9 mils to either 7.1 mils or 7 mils even. That will take effect July of 2027. So in terms of the actual process itself, through the first reading, we are expecting, assuming a board approval at the next meeting, we're expecting to do a close on the refunding bonds in mid-December. If anybody's got any questions on that process, I'd be more than happy to speak to it. It's a quiet little piece of good news for the district and taxpayers. The long-term interest rates are beginning to show some downward slide, so depending upon how a district sets up its bonded debt, it opens windows up at certain time frames to do things like this. So our window for us, so to speak, is open. So Any questions? Do you want me to just move right into the next one? The next one is the annual summer tax resolution. It's a compliance issue that all boards go through who are in a position that we are, and what it does is reauthorize the district to levy its taxes on a 100% summer levy. And what we just witnessed with the state budget process, where their inability to do their jobs have put local districts such as ours in a potential cash flow crunch. Because we use a 100% levy process on our taxes, it helps address and relieve those types of very situations, and that's why districts really do it. It's about the cash flow piece of it. So, but that is an annual thing, and that's first reading as well, so it'll be back on the 21st. Any questions on that one? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next item, the LCA job description. Allison, are you talking to that, or, oh, I'm sorry. So this is just first reading. It's pretty self-explanatory. We just did this recently. If you have any further questions about it, we can reach out to Allison. Or if you have them now, Tanya can convey them. Okay, excellent. Unscheduled public comment. Do we have? Thank you. Steve St. Juliana. I can do a reminder. We are at 5 minutes now instead of 3, and the light will flash when you are about halfway and as you get down. Thank you.
So good evening. Just wanted to, first of all, comment that the efforts in the last few weeks on the finance side of things have been impressive. A lot more detail available. I mean, videos, Excel, PowerPoint, signups to advocate, websites, communication plan, emails, postcards, signage. But a reality check here. Compare that to what you've done in the last few weeks on safety. A pre-configured one-pager that's been regurgitated for the last 3 months. Limited info, FOIA fights, personal attacks. Just a reality check. You can't, the unbalanced approach here again. Like I said, it's great that you're finally getting the details on the finance side out. It should have been done a long time ago, but the work is being done. But once again, come on. Apply this across the board. A comment on okay to say in the Michigan State Police was mentioned in Ms. Williams' update. I just wanted to highlight that in the after-action review that was conducted by Guidepost that was released recently, buried in the footnotes was the fact that the only organization that refused to cooperate with that after-action review was the Michigan State Police. They continue to refuse to talk about anything related to that, about the okay to say information that was not turned over, etc. Just keep that in mind as you're praising okay to say. And then just lastly, quickly, is an open question for you guys to consider and maybe address at some point is to the public, not just internal, is what is the district's position regarding to continued abeyance of the decision in your favor against SETSEG, that the amount of the settlement available is $5 million per occurrence as defined as per bullet, not as occurrence as overall incident, that SETSEG continues to file I think it's now the 4th filing that it remains in abeyance. That's it.
Thank you, Steve. Emily Lesnow?
I'm short. I have a praise to start out. My son had his first FBA, that's a functional behavior assessment. It's a tool we use in special education to learn about a student's behaviors and hope to divert and mitigate that into positive events. And not only did his team follow it by the book and hit every mark, they were insightful, they were compassionate, and they knocked it out of the park. I review things like that in IEPs for a living, and they set the standard, and I am so impressed by them. I just wanted you to know great things are happening at DA. I even wore my DA shirt today. Another side of that is that I'm kind of like the special ed girl in Oxford and in North Oakland County, and I have parents coming to me with concerns about their non-speaking children. And as we learn more about disabilities and diagnostic tools become more accessible, we're seeing more students qualifying for services. When they are non-speaking, things tend to escalate pretty quickly. And I know that we have CPI training, but I don't know if it's always enough for our parapros and teachers that are working with these students. I have parents coming to me telling me that students are coming home with handprints on their arms, nail gouges. Sometimes they've even bled, and they're from adult hands. I don't know if it's simply someone grabbed someone at the last moment before they ran out of a building or what, but it's showing time and time again that the preventions we're using aren't adequate. One thing I've noticed with my own son, who has been at 3 of our elementaries in self-contained programs at each one, is that there's no incident report policy that's executed across the board. So as we're looking at adding more categorical programs, as we're looking into adding a center-based program, protecting our non-speaking students is going to be very, very important. And as a school board who works in policy, I would love it if you guys could explore options to make sure that incidents where students are handled by staff are reported back to the parents. Because when kids are coming home with mystery bruises, mystery marks, everyone escalates, and then it's breaking down that relationship that parents are having with their staff members. And as a part of the IEP team, parents have to trust and work well with their teachers and their staff. So it's just a little breakdown thing that's happening more and more as we're getting more and more special education students. And it's something that I think that we could mitigate quite easily if we all unified and found a way to address it. And that's all I have. So good and something we can work on.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, item 10, we have a list of upcoming activities. Our next board meetings, we'll be adding the retreat onto that. We have fall recess coming up, of course, Wildcat Remembrance Day on the 30th. Any administrative clarification, Dr. Milligan? Any final board comments? Mike?
I guess mainly just following up on Tanya's review, or on Tanya's superintendent report, because we kind of segued right into safety and the millage. But I had heard directly from a PTO president that she just really appreciated that workshop, or the getting the meeting with the other presidents, and she felt like they hadn't previously been opportunities to coordinate or really felt that they were like they mattered kind of, and so she really appreciated that meeting. She's already coordinating with other presidents to kind of coordinate resources and all of that, because a lot of times they do events and then they won't be using that material for another 5 years or something, right? And so they can kind of leapfrog that way, and it's gonna work out for everyone really well. So I think she was really excited, and she came to point that out to me. Other just the homecoming, obviously an awesome game. I had heard from parents, and especially parents that grew up in other districts, like nobody does homecoming like Oxford. And so that was cool to hear. I also had a colleague actually that happened to be going down Pollyant Trail when everything was going on. He's like, what is this? He's from Germany. He's like, he had to Google, and I touched base with him today about that. He's like, we don't do anything like that. That was amazing. So just awesome that it was an awesome event, awesome weather, awesome game. And So just, that was cool to hear too, because I don't really remember the celebrations like that either. And I was a neighboring district as well. So yeah, just those 2 items.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. It is 7:44. This meeting is adjourned. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't say contact, but I would like to.